Hey everyone, welcome back to Code of the Row. In this Blueprint series Unreal Engine 5 tutorial, we're going to be creating a jump pad that will send your character into the air. So let's start off by just going over to our content browser, right-clicking in our blueprint, and creating a new blueprint class. And we're going to be creating an actor. And I'm just going to call this BP underscore jump pad. And I'll double click to open the blueprint editor and drag this up here. And the first thing I'm going to do is actually just add a static mesh. And I'll just call this something like jump pad. And I'm just going to set this static mesh to something like a cube. And now when I have the jump pad highlighted, I'm just going to click add and add a box collision, and I'll just leave the name as box. And now in the event graph, I just want to do an on component begin overlap with the box. So I'm going to go ahead and delete these three, select the box, scroll all the way down to events, and click on component begin overlap. Click this plus sign next to it to add this. And I'm just going to do a cast to my character. So cast the character like that and plug in the other actor into the object. And basically, Unreal Engine already has a function for this. So when I drag out this pin, I'm just going to do a launch character. And make sure you connect the as character to the target, and launch will be the velocity. So I'm actually going to go over to my variables and just click this plus sign, and I want to create this variable called velocity. And this will be a vector. So I'm just going to add a get velocity. And right now you'll see there's no default value. So I'll hit Control Save. And for the default value of this, I'm just going to do a 1000 on the Z axis because I want it to launch me upwards. And I'll just connect this pin to launch velocity. And then I want to give a little animation to our cube just to notify that it's been jumped. So it'll have a little bounce animation. So I'm just going to add an anim. I'm just going to add a timeline. And I'll call this something like jump underscore pad. And I'm going to create two custom events. So the first one I'll just call bounce. And then the second one, I'll create another custom event and call this unbounce. And I'm going to connect the bounce to the play and then the unbounce to the reverse. So I'll double click this timeline and I'll do something like a 0.15 length. And I'll just click add track and adding a float track. And I'm just going to shift click 2 points. One will be at 0 and 0 for the time and value. And the second one will just be at 0.15 and 1. So 0.15 for the time and 1 for this. And then I'll hit F on the keyboard. And then I'll hit F on the keyboard to stretch this out. I'm just going to highlight over both of these and right click and select 1 for auto, just to give it a bit of a curviness. And it doesn't look like a straight bounce, just so the bounce looks a bit more fluid. Then back in the event graph, I want to drag out the update and do set actor relative scale 3D. And then for the new relative scale, I'm just going to drag this out and look for a lerp vector. And I want to connect this B node to a bounce scale. But for the A, I'm just going to select 1, 1, 1. And I'm going to promote this to a variable. So I'll just right click here and promote this to a variable that's going to be called bounce scale. And this vector will pretty much determine how much it grows to. So I'm just going to increase the cube to something like 1.2, where the default for A is 1, 1, 1 for the cube. So I'll do 1.2, 1.2, 1.2, just so it expands on each side, and hit compile. And then for the jump pad, or for this new track, I'm just going to connect this over to the alpha of this. And then when it's finished, I want to call this unbounce function, which is just the reverse of this, which is why we created the custom event unbounce to connect to reverse. So hit compile and save. And make sure that for your launch character, you have this XY override and Z override checked. So I'll hit compile and save. And this looks good. So let's go ahead and test this out. So I'll go back to my third person map and drag this jump pad out. And this is a very large jump pad, so I'm going to decrease the size a bit. And I'm just going to spawn right next to it. And when I jump on this, so I'm actually going to change this to a cylinder. Something a bit smaller. The cube was actually really big. And for the box, I just want to line it up with this cylinder. just like that. And I'll probably give it a different material just so it's more noticeable. So I'll just give it some random red material that I found called Vertex Color View Mode. So now when I hit play and have my character jump on this, you'll see that there's a bounce animation each time my character is hitting it. So I'll hit F8 to get out of this camera view, and you can see that this is bouncing and it's launching my character up into the air. And yeah, that's a really easy tutorial on how to create a jump pad in Unreal Engine 5. Thanks for watching Code with Ro. Like, subscribe, comment below what you want to see next, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.